We are here today with Richard Schwartz, who is a longtime executive at Rush Street Interactive and in the gaming industry, previously in previous life with WMS, a different kind of gaming company. But Richard is brand new as CEO of RSI. So Richard, thank you for your time today.
Appreciate it. Really glad to be here.
Good. Richard, you've been around a while, but a lot of folks might not know you. Tell us a little bit about your background and about the expertise or strengths that you bring to the CEO-ship at Rush Street.
Sure. Well, I started my career, believe it or not, as an intellectual property attorney in the Silicon Valley. And so, I really understand compliance and legal side of the business from the very beginning and learned the industry really in the business development role at WMS Gaming years ago, as you mentioned, in the early 2000s, and really focused on innovation, product development, and commercial deals and vision for the company to try to build unique user experiences. And so really learning the psychology of a player through lots of focus groups and research and really understanding the product side of the industry, I think brings a really unique perspective to me today, because I really understand not just the marketing operations side, but also how do you create unique experiences, have players play a device, lose often, but still enjoy it enough that they want to come back and play it again. And I think a lot of the slot machine manufacturers really develop that knowledge and expertise so that when it comes to a public company like us right now, we're not just a company that's publishing other people's content. We're actually creating our own products, our own unique features that then create a differentiation for the user experience. So I think that's really that background that I learned over 20 years in the industry, really at a product-centric organization, that allowed me to kind of bring this unique perspective to the role that I'm in today.
That kind of reminds me of Randy Adams, the developer of Wheel of Fortune, I believe it was, who said his job is to make losing fun.
You know what? You got to manufacture fun, and people want to have fun. They want to laugh. They want the unexpected. They want to have more ways to win. They want to feel like you understand their the way to sort of engage with them, and that's not something that you can just on the fly. It's something that takes years of knowledge and insights to really perfect, and to then take those insights and translate them into something that people want to play and pay to play. That's where the challenge is, and that's what makes it really hard.
Now, Rush Street up until recently was an idea. And now you are a company that has been in operation for some time, even though this world of iCasino and iSports betting is increasing so rapidly. What have you learned so far from your experience, and how has it changed your strategies?
Well, I think one of the things that we identified early on was the importance of owning your own technology. And that allows you to do the things that matter most in the industry, which is acquire players and make sure those players that visit your site become a first-time depositor. Secondly, once they become a first-time depositor, what kind of unique user experience can you create that gives them a reason to stay with you loyal for not just months, but years? And the better you do at converting and retaining your players, the more successful ultimately you're going to have. And so I think what you see a lot of times happening is that you can sign media deals or marketing deals and get a lot of players in the front door to sign up with you. But if you don't keep those players loyal for a long time, you're not going to be long-term profitable and grow market share. So I think one of the things is to focus really closely on the user experience and making sure that part is done the right way. It's harder to fake that because the players will let you know by their habits and their loyalty to you whether you've delivered on that experience or not. So I think one of the things I've learned, though, is that being early is critical, right? You got to get into a market early because a lot of the more valuable players arrive early, and it's always easier to expose players to your experience if you're one of the few companies live at a moment in time, as opposed to waiting 2 or 3 years. We came in the market in New Jersey 3 years late. By then, players already had their favorite sites, and it's much more difficult to acquire those players away from other loyalty programs. Or if you can have your own technology like we do, you can constantly innovate, differentiate, and be quick to market to enter new markets and then acquire those players early before they're locked in with anybody else.
I think we all understand the concept of the advantage of having your own technology, but maybe don't really understand specifically what that means. Is there like an example you can use of a promotion or a bonus or some feature that you were able to provide that helped you attract and retain players?
Yes, it's actually dozens, but I'll give you one that we're really excited about. It's called RushPay. It's a payment system that we built in-house that we would not have been able to build unless we were vertically integrated, meaning we have our operations and product teams in the same company like we do. How this works is that it allows 80% plus of our players who request a payout after they win to cash out right away. And for a gambler, that's really important. If you ask them, you survey them what they care about, when they win, they want the chance to cash out. It reminds me of a land-based blackjack player who goes to a table. Maybe they put $40 down, they win, they put the $40 back in their pocket, they know that's safe there, and the rest of what they gamble with is their profits. Similar to a gambler, when they win, they want to cash out. And so other sites might take 3 or 4 days to approve a cash out request. We've built all kinds of algorithms and systems to allow ourselves to then automate that process and give real-time approvals, which delights a customer. If we didn't have our own technology, meaning our own player account management system and payment systems, there's no chance that we could have built something like that. We would have had to rely on our vendor, and our vendor probably was serving 10 other operators, and that operator would be hard to differentiate because everybody who has the same feature we built would be competing with us. So it's nice when you can build something that's unique and that works really well to deliver a positive experience for your players.
Rush Street has had a little bit different emphasis from a lot of your competitors. There's a lot of excitement about sports betting, but you have sports betting, obviously, but part of your focus is iCasino, since iGaming has a broader demographic appeal and is more profitable. How has that trended out so far for you?
Well, we haven't given specific timeframes on when we expect to be profitable. A lot's going to depend on how quickly new markets get approved and investments necessary in each of those markets as they get approved. What I will say is that focusing on profitability is something we've always done, and the best way to do that is by creating these great conversion and retention metrics, as I talked about earlier. It's when you retain those players over the long term, you're going to always have your players enticed to go somewhere else. You have to give them a reason when they visit somewhere else to come back to you. And that's where the user experience comes in. What I'm excited about is that after we went public in December of last year, we now have an incredibly strong balance sheet of $350 million of cash and no debt at the end of the last quarter. So we have the versatility and flexibility to invest more in marketing. Our philosophy has always been, like I said at the very beginning, it's easier to just market and spend money marketing. But if you don't have the foundation in place, if you don't have the conversion and the retention rates at market leading rates like we do, you're not going to sustain those players. And so we do the hard work first. The hard work is retention. Once you get the retention working right, now you're ready to spend more money on marketing, and you're going to get the throughput because all the new volume of players that come in, are going to be happy with the experience and stay loyal to you.
One of the dynamics that we see is an awful lot of competitors rushing into this space. And the general belief is that over time, there'll be a consolidation and a winnowing out. And I expect you obviously believe that if we come back here 3 years from now, 5 years from now, Rush Street will be one of the companies still standing.
Yeah, I think there's certainly going to be consolidation in the industry because you can't have 30 companies competing in a space that you can see in Europe. You end up having 5 to 10 operators. You typically on the sportsbook side. I do think you could have a greater number of casino operators competing than sportsbook operators. But at the end of the day, our philosophy is can constantly improve the user experience. There was an Eilers-Fantini report that came out last quarter, and we were ranked number 4 out of 31 brands tested a new app on the sportsbook betting side. And that's just a validation that a lot of hard work and effort, we've been slowly able to catch up on the sports betting side. I think on the casino side, we already think we had a market leading product. On the sports betting side, I think now we do, but until this last year, I would say we didn't. But it took us a few more years to build that product because remember, casino online was legalized 3 years earlier in the United States in sports betting. So we had a 3-year head start on developing the product for casino. We've now been able to catch up on the sports betting side. But I think at the end of the day, if you have your own technology like we do, and it's constantly improving, and you have a team that really understands the insights of the consumer and the gambler in particular, and knows how to build features that actually work to improve that user experience, at the end of the day, you're going to have great results and you're going to be attractive to people in the future because you offer something that's unique. And if you combine the product with an award-winning customer service team, which we've now won the last 2 years in a row, the eGaming Review Customer Service Operator of the Year award. If you don't overestimate and dismiss the value of a good customer service team, you're going to end up with players liking you when they find you. And so I think that that's sustainable. And so we don't over bonus the players the same degree some other operators do. And we like that because it means that a player who finds us is with us for the right reasons. They're with us because they like the way we treat them. They like the integrity, the transparency we show them. They like the customer service the way we treat them, and they like the product. And so if you could do all those little things right, then you have staying power. And that's why I think 5 years from now, the companies like us that focus on the user experience rather than just marketing are going to be the ones that end up, winning in the end.
Well, there's definitely a theme here, because I think you've used the term customer experience and user experience at least a dozen times so far.
Yeah, just to comment on that, like I said, it goes back to the early days at WMS Gaming where you have to design games. There's 1,000 slot machines. What gets a player to visit one more often than the other 999? It's the experience they get when they're playing the game. And if you can manufacture fun, create entertainment, most companies, if you don't own your own technology, you can't do a lot of these innovations. I mean, if you do, you have to actually know what to build. And so I think that's why it's such a heavy focus for us, is because ultimately we want those customers to find us and say, aha, I went somewhere else, I got the free money somewhere else, but I just are not getting the same experience or the same feel of excitement that I generate when I play with you guys, and they come back to us as a result.
Richard, we've covered a lot of ground here, and I appreciate your time today. As a last question, what would you like investors to best understand about Rush Street Interactive?
I think the most important point is that we built the business for the long term the right way. We didn't take shortcuts. We dot our I's, we crossed our T's. We've built a strong foundation, focusing on the things that matter. Once foundation is set, it's much easier to grow from there instead of trying to do everything at the same time. We have the market access in the markets that matter. We have our own technology. We're strong in casino. We're strong in sports betting. We're diversified. We're number 3 out of 20 operators in Colombia, so we're strong in Latin America. When it comes to casino players, we're strong there. When it comes to sports bettors, we have a nice sports betting audience. We were a top 5 operator in online sportsbook revenues in this country in the last 12 months. So I think we're very diversified in terms of being a company that tracks male sports bettors, female slot players. We have brands that resonate with both females and males. They resonate with casino players and sportsbook players. We're strong across the country. We're strong in other countries. So I think we're a very diversified play. And because we have the team that we have in place, a very gifted and talented management team, and beyond that, the rest of the team is just very, very strong. We've been able to build a culture here that really allows us to continue to feel free to innovate and take risks and take chances. I think that's necessary to be successful, because if you just do the same thing everybody else is doing, you're going to end up being in a pricing war to the bottom, which is not something that we wish to compete in.
Richard, very informative. Thank you for your insights.
Appreciate it, Frank. Great talking to you.